Miami, 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 Miami. It feels like Miami.
For the record, I don't hear the music.
I'm here to tell you motherfuckers. I'm here to tell every single person. Joe Cronin's a fuck! I cannot believe all these people went to defend his bald ass! All he did was sabotage a franchise icon! That city is built on his back! And he should have... Damian Lillard went back to work! That's what everybody wanted! He went back, he said, you know what? I will go back! And Joe Cronin told him, take a hike! I cannot believe that we are accepting... I cannot believe Sam Quinn's ugly ass is saying this is okay! Every person defending Cronin should be ashamed of themselves! I am sick and tired of the stories going around. I'm sick and tired of people excusing someone who's actively doing a bad job. He is going to get so fucking fired when new ownership comes up. No player's going to want to work with him again. He is the worst. I can't stand that bozo. I can't stand him. I can't stand the Blazers management. I can't stand you motherfuckers who slandered Pat Riley yesterday. Sick of this shit. I'm your host, Giancarlo Navas. And with me today, we have statistician and professional photoshopper, Christian Hernandez.
I just want to point out that literally right before we started this, Gianni was telling me about how he was in such a good place just a few hours ago after getting out of a really good yoga class.
Incredible.
And I was really happy for him. And then, you know, he opens his phone and the first thing he sees is that article that is just honestly... It's one of the most shocking things I've ever seen. I mean, well, let's get into it, Jim.
So, yeah. Christian, so for anybody who booted up a podcast on a Friday morning and being like, what is he talking about? Because you haven't even checked your phone yet. You haven't gone to work yet. Joe Cronin Chris Haynes just dropped an article on Bleacher Report chronicling the trade saga between Damian Lillard, Joe Cronin, and the Portland Trail Blazers. And in that article, there's a lot of damning evidence that leads to kind of what I've been saying. So I obviously I was not privy to the insider information that Chris Haynes was, but Christian, we've talked a lot about the deals that we know were on the table from the reporting that we've done and how something wasn't adding up. Some things were not adding up. Why was Joe Cronin willing to accept lesser offers? And obviously, my conjecture was this man's a generational hater. And this Chris Haynes article comes out and is kind of confirming all that speculation and more. There's so much more in the article. And Christian, I don't even know where to start. But I guess the most important thing is that Joe Cronin lied to Damian Lillard. And that is not just us speculating that. That is in print from principals. From Dame and his agent. Our claim, like James Harden was in China and he called Daryl Morey a liar. Dame just got that in print.
He's at the club and he's having the girls hold up a sign.
Yeah, the bottle girls.
Daryl Morey's a liar.
But Christian, Dame Lillard got this. He said specifically what he was lied to about. He said, I did not want it. I am a professional. I don't want to sit out games, but I will do it if you think it's going to help us try to win a championship. And that was bullshit from Cronin from the start.
Yeah. Just quick tangent. I'm really going to get into it, but are they allowed to lie that Dame was injured so that they can tank? I'm just gonna. But anyway, regardless,
we're gonna get into some of the NBA governance later. But yeah,
I mean, I can't. how long has Joe Cronin been the GM of the Blazers?
Not that long. He's been
like
a very
year, maybe. And like, you really think when, first of all, you were the first one that operated in bad faith, like making a star player who loves the game and probably really just want to be out there to play to fake an injury so that you can tank while telling him that that's so that they can get the best possible position in the draft to then turn that into a quality player to compete with said player. And that all being bullshit, apparently. And then, yeah, the player does what any logical person would do, and they get backstabbed. They try to take a little power back for themselves. And then even after the player realizes that clearly it's not going to help his situation and it's not going to get him what he wants, he goes back and says that he ultimately would rather just come back to the franchise that he was loyal to, faithful to, and gave a generation worth of memories to. And his response was no.
He did.
That honestly also just tells me that his legitimate plan was to draft Henderson as Dame's replacement and then essentially just hope Dame was going to be somewhat cool with it so that he could still get a massive bounty for trading Dame.
Christian,
and then when he fucked that plan up, he went 100% plantation owner on his ass.
And I want to get into some of the racial elements of this because it reminds me of a certain situation in Cleveland with LeBron James. But like the idea of this guy not negotiating in good faith is something that I think we thought of for a long time, right? I think we were under the assumption that I didn't think it was this bad, and the fact that people like Sam Quinn tweeted today, and this other guy, I forget, some other reporter for USA Today, Dan something, and they said, well, what do you want the Blazers to do? Damian Lillard said, I don't want to be here anymore. You can't have it both ways, bucko. And the problem that I have with that, Christian, is that is a misrepresentation of what happened. Because Damian Lillard was told Damian Lillard wants to leave because he doesn't feel like not that the organization won't win a championship, but that they're not trying to win a championship during his timeline. And he signed an extension. When you are a player and you sign an extension, you are given, hey, we're going to try to win when you're here. And you go back on that after you assure him in season, you say, I need you to miss games. By the way, the idea of them openly tanking is fucking, they killed Sam Hinkie for less. I'll tell you that. But the idea of that, right? And then people twisting that narrative into Damian Lillard is the bad guy and Joe Cronin is the victim? What? Excuse me, what? Are we in the same realm? Are we in the same plane of existence that man is the victim here? Am I crazy, Chris? I don't know. I just think that
no, you're not. And honestly,
wild.
It's absolutely astonishing, Gianni. And honestly, and I have to, I'm gonna be very honest. I was wrong about a lot of stuff about this whole Dame saga. All right. And I give Johnny a lot of shit privately for some of the stuff that he was saying, and he ended up being totally
Chris was doubting some of my reporting, and
I was more than doubting, bro. I was mocking your ass.
No, openly making fun of me.
But one of the things, and I'm gonna apologize right now. All of this was so irrational that I immediately jumped that it cannot be a guy like Joe Cronin, who I presume has worked his way up to get to the position that he's in.
And he did.
And I assumed this had to be a personal thing with ownership. And now that Dame, which by the way, Dame, if you haven't seen it, Dame put a very multi-tweet, really, it's a super, super long letter that he basically put out publicly on his Twitter account, thanking so many people in the organization, Portland, the city itself, the media. I mean, I've never seen someone go so far out of their way. Nobody like, a star athlete goes so far out of their way to thank so many individual people that he clearly spent a lot of time with on a daily basis in all facets of his relationship with the Blazers. And one of the people that he specifically went out of his way to thank, probably I think more than anybody else, was Jody Allen, the owner of the Blazers. And I'm going to apologize right now for throwing strays at Jody Allen, assuming that she might have been the problem here. But I will point out that there were two people that were not specifically mentioned in that letter, and it was Joe Cronin and Bert Kold. And so have fun looking up those guys, especially Bert Kold if you don't know him.
Who is he, Christian?
But it's very clear.
Tell the audience.
Who is I believe he's like the executive VP of like basketball operations or something like that. They are very clearly the ones who are in charge here. And I guess Jody Allen is hands off. And I get that, she's probably enjoying her life. I totally respect that.
And they're selling. Their new ownership's coming in soon, and there's a lot up in the air for that.
I mean, so that must be it. Is that there's new ownership coming in. So I guess there's no skin off their backs, I guess. But I have no idea how in the world you can operate that way and then ultimately do follow through with the backstab and not think that half of that shit was not going to get out. And the consequences that's going to have with your relationship, not only with players, but agencies in the NBA. Good fucking luck to Blazers fans. Honestly. Scoot Henderson could be the greatest point guard of all time. Good luck.
The thing that I wonder is, like, if you're Cronin, you don't think that this is going to get out? I mean, Lillard is uniquely equipped because of his relationship with Chris Haynes. Chris Haynes, a very respected journalist, right? Like, Dame's they're tight. And we all know that Dame, an incredibly smart and professional man, has a guy in the media that he knows if I go to people understand the connection we have and how information flows. Cronin didn't think that this would come out. You know what I mean? Like, there's a guy in his camp, a guy that backs him, right? A guy that they have a relationship with, a journalist. And you backstab him and you throw egg on the agent. Cronin tattled to the league. There's a part in that article that the league stepped in. The league had to step in and say, "Hey, Dame, knock it off," right? Which, unfortunately for Heat fans, the bubble bursted with them.
But, I mean, the other interesting part of that article was that the league had to step in again because of how much Cronin was just flat out not acknowledging or speaking to his star player or his representation.
That's crazy,
and they literally had to step in and be like, yo, you guys cannot behave this way.
The league is like,
that to me stop. Is wild.
And in that part of the article, Chris Haynes notes that it got hostile at times. Imagine it got hostile between a star player and your general manager after there's been no communication, with the league babysitting you on a Zoom call.
With their lawyer present.
With the lawyer.
They paid an attorney, and they were behaving like a child in the meeting. Unbelievable stuff.
And people are talking about how Goodwin stinks in our chat. What is Goodwin supposed to do? They asked to go somewhere because star players get their destination typically when they're of Dame's caliber, right? And Dame is like, hey, I want to go there, or I don't want to go anywhere because I love it here. And I just want to go there because I think that I have a shot to win games there. And I want to play with Bam. And I want to play in Miami. And they said, fuck you. Fuck you is what Joe Cronin said.
I mean, Johnny, that's the thing that, like, there's nothing surprising about players throwing their weight around. And in fact, the way things are today, they have to. Because otherwise, this is exactly what happens. Like, and I think the real sad thing here is that ultimately Dame was too nice. And he will probably forever be too nice.
He did not make this.
Look at that letter that he wrote.
Yeah.
He is an excellent human being. And that is the only reason why Portland is getting away with this. Which, I mean, if I'm Jody Allen, I guess, yeah, I guess it's not my team anymore, but I guess Joe Cronin must know that he does not have a job moving forward. Like, especially after that. If he does, then honestly, there's a lot more that reeks in the league than just him.
The other thing is other agents, Bernie Lee, Jimmy Butler, and Ben Simmons' agent, Amin Al-Hassan of the Lebitard Show and Meadowlarks quote tweets the article and says, I've said this time and time again. In our league, nice guys finish last. You try and be professional and do things the right way, they fuck you over. Players are incentivized to be the biggest assholes imaginable or else they get run over. And that was quote tweeted by Bernie Lee, who is Jimmy Butler's agent and pretty funny Twitter follow. And he says, you say a lot of outlandish shit, man, but you nailed this one. Other agents are like, yeah, that's why we do shit this way. And if you're Dame, you didn't do the Harden thing. Harden got bottle girls to bring a fucking thing that said Daryl Morey's a liar. James Harden wore a fat suit. James Harden actively sabotaged his stats in games in Houston to get out of there. He's the GOAT of getting out of situations. But Dame's not like that. Christian, you remember the Goran Dragic saga. Goran Dragic made a mess in media scrums because he wanted it. And that's Goran fucking Dragic.
I mean, in fairness, though, that previous Suns ownership
it was bad. Listen, Sarver's
awful.
bad. Sarver bad. And, we had the Bledsoe I don't want to be here tweet. What a moment. But regardless, a guy like Gogi, who Christian, we know, and we've covered the team and been around. Gogi's the nicest dude. But sometimes
he's an angel.
Angel. You guys don't understand what a kind man that guy is. He's so nice. And that guy flipped the fuck. And the organization still loves him. The players all still love him. He's the best. And that guy flipped the fucking switch and took a fucking blowtorch to the organization because he knew that that's the only way I'm going to get out of here. So even Goran is like, I can't. And Dame wasn't that publicly. Dame went through his agent, and his agent did the dirty work. But Dame's not out here on Twitter. Dame's not going in front of cameras saying shit. Dame's not getting the bottle girls. He could have made this messier than it was, and he did it out of respect for Portland, and it was kind of a foolish decision on his part. Now, he ended up in Milwaukee. He's very likely he's gonna contend for a title. There are worse things in the world. I'm not trying to make it, it was pretty clear he didn't want to go to Toronto.
I'm going to be honest. Given how everything went down behind the scenes, I'm actually really happy for him that he ended up in Milwaukee. Because it seems like it could have been way fucking worse. And that's all the guy fucking wants is the ability to compete for a title.
Or for some reason.
That's why he wanted to come to Miami.
And for some reason to play for the Nets.
Yeah, well, I mean, dude, at that point, yeah, they're going to send me to Canada. No offense to Canada, but they're going to send me to a whole other country.
Yeah, I love Toronto.
Like, dude, I mean, that sounds like the most spiteful shit you can do. It's like, oh, you want to be somewhere warm? I'm going to send you to the coldest place in the league.
I just, and I just can't get over this. And listen, Miami said we can get 3 picks and Hero. And you can flip Hero for at least another pick. So that's 4 fucking picks. 4 plus whatever other salary you get for Hero. Minimum 4 picks. And Jovic and other young guys. And Christian, it's fine. It's fine if you want to say, I like the Bucks package. I kind of super disagree. You could say, well, the pick swaps in 29. The other thing is, Christian, is that Jimmy and Dame are on. Jimmy's on a damn near supermax, and Dame's on a supermax. $60 million at age 36. And I want to also make it clear that these people that are like, oh my God, the Heat are never bad. Those picks are going to be awful. Every fucking year I have to deal with you guys calling them a 9 seed. Every fucking year. So which is it, dickheads? Are they the fucking 9 seed or are they always good? I don't know, because you move whatever's convenient. And I'm sick of that shit. I'm just sick of it, bro. Every fucking year we get the fucking article by some fucking guy at the Ringer, some other dickhead, all the same motherfuckers. Sam Quinn, all these fucking idiots saying the same fucking thing. Which is it? I want to know. Are they the 9th seed or are they never bad? Tell me. I want to know.
I don't usually like doing the woe is me, oh, everyone hates Miami thing, even though there's a lot of truth to it. But it is really fucking interesting how it's all about player empowerment always. Except for when they want to come to Miami.
You know what, Christian? And the other fucking part of it is that it's all player. It never was player empowerment. Because when LeBron did it, they fucking... Let's not forget that the people of Cleveland put his face on urinals. They had signs that mocked the situation with his father, and they threw fucking batteries at him in the stadium. And the nation sided with those barbarians. Always. When Kevin Durant went to the Warriors, same fucking thing.
Perfect timing.
But the media got soft on it because the tides were shifting. But everyone got sick of it again because they actually don't want the players. Because these people view these players as commodities. They call other players assets. Like they're property. Like they're things. And I've said that on the show. I was like, I don't like... Bon and I were talking about that last episode. I don't like calling these people assets. It is what it is. Whatever. That's just the language that we use in the league. But I have an issue when these white media members are telling these black players, sit down and play out your contract while they're being lied to by their quote-unquote bosses. And then when Chris Haynes writes the story, there are people delegitimizing a black journalist's credibility. But Adrian Wojnarowski is allowed to parrot everything that comes out of Joe Cronin's filthy mouth? Come on! Come on! Where is the goddamn consistency? Hide it a little better. Le Batard always says, not all racism is Klanshood racism. But these people need to examine themselves because it's ridiculous. And we go through this all the fucking time. Face on urinals, batteries, discrediting of credibility, all this stuff always. Always, Christian. Always.
It just brings me back to the fact that he wouldn't take him back. This is a business relationship.
That man went back to work.
How is it that you are handling this? Like, you just walked in on Damian Lillard and let's make this a little bit more personal. You just walked in on your best friends just going to town on your significant other. That's how you're treating this. When this is a business relationship, it doesn't matter what kind of leverage you deploy. Like, the most important person in that franchise's history, and you told him he can't come back.
That guy hit...
Pat Riley fucked up real bad with Dwayne Wade. And do you want to know what he did?
Fixed it.
He offered him $20 million instead of 25. That's what he did. And yet people to this day throw it in Miami's face. Oh, you didn't give a shit about Dwayne. And then they did everything in their fucking power, not only to bring him back, but to make everything about
Christian,
him until the day he retired.
Chris, I'm so glad you said that.
Owed him. That is what they owed him.
You remember, because that was the time when we were actively covering the team and we were in the locker rooms and stuff. That was that period of time where we were like super like in and invested. Dwayne sounded heartbroken when he did that remember, Ethan went to Chicago. They did, because Ethan was a Bleacher Report at the time. They went to Chicago. Dwayne Wade looked like a broken human being. And Riley, who always exudes power, looked fucking broken addressing Barry Jackson, Ira, and the rest of us, right? Cronin's not that. There's no remorse. This was, listen, Riley fucked up and we were all on his ass. All on his ass. And that's a guy that has way more of a personal relationship to Dwayne than Joe Cronin has to Dame.
And literally, all he did was not give him the most money in free agency.
And it was fucked up. We're not here defending it.
But
it's different.
I flat out said that they fucked up real bad.
Yeah.
But like the scales to this,
no,
man,
it's ridiculous.
Like,
it's ridiculous.
It's a drop in the bucket versus a fucking tsunami of hatred.
And lies. And the lies of Cronin that triggered this. And listen, maybe even if Cronin doesn't lie, Dame asks out and that's fine. But the way that this went, the non-communication, if you're the Heat, what are you supposed to do? And again, the article said the Heat had third teams. It said in the article that Heat had third teams, consistent with everything that I've reported, that our friends at 5 Reasons have reported, that Greg, the people that have been on the fucking ground trying to figure out what's going on. The Heat were doing their due diligence, even though Cronin wasn't picking up the phone. And that's it, bro. That guy's a loser. The way that this did not... And I think a lot of people are going to be like, oh my God, Miami fans having a meltdown. At the end of the day, man, Kyle Lowry's still a Heat player. I'm winning right now.
Just turn it off now.
Turn it off. But it would be so funny if my camera goes out. But I think it's just frustrating that... And listen, of course we're upset that they didn't get Dame Lillard. We want to cover Dame Lillard. We want to watch Dame Lillard. We want to have fun. But at the end of the day, this did not have to be this way. If they got outbid, that's a different story, right? Like when they don't get Kevin Durant, or when they don't get, Kawhi, or when they can't get enough stuff to trade for one of these guys that went for a better package, we're always just like, what the fuck can you do? We get upset, we call Riley names, we complain about Duncan Robinson's contract, all that stuff. This was not that, bro. This was a guy that was hell-bent on making sure one thing didn't happen. And it is what it is, because he's not going to see a consequence for it. They're not going to see it. And it is what it is, because I know one thing. I know that the Heat say we like our team or whatever, and that's like total posturing. But at the end of the day, one team finds their way in NBA final after NBA final, and another team made the Western Conference Finals once.
Because of one of the most epic shots I've ever seen in my life.
By that guy. By the way, the not only the walk-off to Houston, but the shot over Paul George, which coined the meme, that's a bad shot, and the wave goodbye. If Dame was cold, he would have sent the wave goodbye to Cronin. Yeah, I'm just, man, at the end of the day, bro, I just don't like how this went down. I don't like how the media is acting. And I saw like this fucking loser, Anthony Irving. He does some Laker podcast, and he's like, the journos in Miami, if us blog boys are acting this way, then... And I was like, bro, at Barry, don't be a pussy, at Barry Jackson. He's like, you sound well-adjusted. I was like, yeah, motherfucker, I am well-adjusted. I just came out of yoga. I had salmon and a salad. I live in a fucking nice condo in Miami. I have 3 fucking jobs. I have a loving family. I have friends. I'm fucking well-adjusted. I'm just sick of your shit! There's a fucking difference. I made, liking anime is not that well-adjusted. I'll give him that.
Neither was that response.
He's right on that one. He's right on that one.
I gotta say, man, I have massive respect for Barry. He honestly, his account is tweeting as if he sold his account to somebody and told nobody. Because,
his account is like if he sold it to Brian Goins. The
manner in which he tweets is completely changed.
It's like Brian Goins took a hold of his account.
Dude, he's an Austin reply guy right now.
That is so funny. And then Austin will like fucking quote tweet Barry and kind of make fun of him, and Barry's still coming back. I was like, what's going on? Shout out to Austin.
I mean, dude, nobody is profiting more off this bullshit than he is.
No, Austin or Barry?
Austin. Definitely Austin.
I'm telling you, man, I'm disappointed in Ira. I thought Ira and Anthony got to step it up.
You know who was actually great during all this? Anthony Chiang. Shout out to you.
Oh, and listen, the puppet, the GOAT.
He was the first to reveal 2 super important pieces of information right after the trade broke.
Yes.
From kudos to him, to one being plugged in and being willing to share, because, obviously access comes with a price, and sometimes there's certain things that you will not share no matter what. And, props to you for keeping it real.
And one thing on Anthony is that, Christian, I don't know if you remember, but Anthony's first, we used to have we used to have Jason Leisure on our show. He was a friend of the show, and
Legend.
Jason used to be on. He used to cover the Heat, and he asked us if we can have, because he was leaving the beat, and Anthony was going to take his place, and he asked us to have Anthony on to acclimate the audience to him, and we became friends with Anthony. And he's a great dude. And by the way, one of the nicest people when I've gone to cover games and I didn't know what to do. He and Cooper Moorhead specifically, so like accommodating, very helpful, knowing I didn't even have to ask. They were just like helping me out. So just good guys. And to see Anthony grow from that guy who walked in the beat to the guy he is now, just shout out to him and shout out to the media here, because I think they've done a good job. And I don't like people giving them shit, man. The only people that can talk bad about our city is us. And by the way, Christian, talking about the way that you negotiate, that's coming from one of the 200 greatest Hispanic business owners in America.
Stop.
Congratulations. That's a motherfucker who knows shit. He's not a bozo.
Like, yeah, when people say things like, oh, you signed the contract, oh, like, dude, like, fuck off. Like, you're literally just exposing yourself. Like, you have no idea what it means to manage, like, interpersonal relationships. It's a day-to-day thing. Like, and it's all based under one simple thing, like the good faith that you are doing right by them and they are doing right by you. And the second that that's violated, all bets are off. I don't give a fuck. The fact is, I don't think contracts should exist. Honestly, contracts, I think, are just a sign of weakness. That you don't believe that you can maintain a relationship without a contractual obligation.
Chris, have I ever made anybody at Miami Heat Beat sign a contract?
No, but maybe you should.
It's for it's for that reason. It's because like, and I'm not, and this is not like me doing a flex. It's like, it's exactly what Kristen's saying. It's because at the end of the day, if the only thing binding you somewhere is a piece of paper that you signed because of lies told to you, what is the value of who you are and the business that you run?
Amen.
Chat saying Christian hesitated. No, we've signed papers for Blue Wire and 5 Reasons and our networks. But
I also want a max contract.
Yeah, Christian wants that guaranteed.
I want that guaranteed money, bro. I don't want to get cut and then be screwed.
At the end
Which
of the day,
also football disgusting. Anyway, sorry. Go on, G.
Yeah, exactly. So like, just I don't know, man. It's just frustrating to see this go down this way, and to see the media just side with Cronin, and yesterday a lot of people were slinging shit at Pat's way, and I just didn't think it's fair, and I think today exonerated a lot of the organization. They're not without criticism, because I do think, listen, at the end of the day, man, Riley's a proud man, and that he was never going to go begging on his hands and knees, and maybe that's what Cronin wanted. Maybe if Riley went to go beg, Damian Lillard is a member of the Miami Heat, and maybe that's what he had to do. I don't know. And I think if you say that, you're not the most wrong. That's not a wrong thing to feel, right? Because you could say, well, and the language is very chosen, right? It was the Heat were prepared to offer, but also they were never called back, but also they didn't call, right? And Riley is not out here to look desperate. And Christian, you talked a lot about the negotiation process. You just can't give your best deal up front, and you got to wait it out, and you got to play the long game, and you got to realize who has the leverage and who doesn't. The article even said Milwaukee came out of nowhere, because not a lot of people were saying Milwaukee. Not a lot. I heard things that Milwaukee was sniffing around like the fringes to see, like, can they get like a guy, like a role player? This was not. I
think the only thing I saw was one report. I don't even know who it was from.
There
but
was
it was just
a little whisper.
Yeah, it was like a loose report of, Dame and Giannis have always wanted to play together. Something like that.
And Tiff was saying that too. And Tiff has a good intuition about this. She's like, the Bucks make a lot of sense, just like, kind of watch out for them. But the article even said that materialized September 20, I think 3rd or 5th. That when the Bucks really came into play. And it even said how the Raptors were close. And then that other, a lot of things came out today. And I think we kind of were able to fill the timeline in very well. Because I had said that the Raptors, that they had a deal that was that Cronin almost agreed to a deal to send Dame to the Raptors for some package that consisted of no Anunoby and no Scotty Barnes, and it was like Gary Trent Jr., Precious, Grady Dick, and protected picks. Protected picks.
Yeah.
And that was kind of where it was going. And then Dame and his agent said, oh, okay, contingency plan. I'll take Milwaukee or Brooklyn. Go talk to them. And so that fills in the gap of kind of the Raptors leading, the Masai fumbling. Because I do think if he had Anunoby, this is just done, and he's just sent to Toronto, and there's nothing he can do.
Yeah.
With the league, again, with the league stepping in, saying what they said.
Right, but I don't even know if it gets to the Toronto point. And this is where, I think we have to rightly acknowledge that Goodwin, I know he overplayed his hand. And I don't think any of us could have estimated that we were dealing with Joe Cronin, generational hater.
Hater.
But I think we can now for sure say that if Dame really wanted to be in Miami, he would have had a much higher chance of being here if he had given the team options and not backed them into a corner like that.
And that's something to learn.
That does not excuse any of the behavior that we've seen.
But it's reality. The other thing I want to say, because we have Huncho in chat, and chat's popping today. I'm going to read some of your comments and all your subs because I see y'all and I love y'all. Huncho says, Johnny, I disagree. When Dame and his agents say Miami or bust, the Heat should have made their first offer all in. You have to go all in knowing how sensitive the situation is. See, I disagree. And Christian, you could talk more to the negotiating process. I just don't ever think you go to the table with your best offer. You got to work your way up. Yeah.
You just don't, man. And you have to operate under the assumption that the people you're negotiating with are negotiating in their best interest.
Nomadic Rambler makes a great point.
What's happening here?
Nomadic Rambler says the Blazers asked for Bam and Jimmy, and they were serious.
Yeah. You want to talk about negotiating?
That's unserious.
There's nothing serious about that.
He's not.
In a million years that if that's the terms, then it's not going to happen.
And listen, I love Dame Lillard, but at least the Nets asking for Bam, for Durant, that's at least a conversation. Lillard's not. And I love Dame, but there's a top 10 player in NBA history, and then there's Dame, right? And I love Dame, and Dame's a legend, and I think if Dame came here, the Heat win a title, and I think he's terrific, but, there's...
Gianni, do we know if the Heat offered Bam for KD?
No, no, they did. I don't think they did. I'm just saying that the Nets asked for Bam, and it wasn't ridiculous because we didn't react the way... we weren't calling that unserious.
Right,
we are for this.
I gotta think. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, Riley said
it would have come out if they did.
No, and they made it clear, through Barry and these people, that was a non-starter. That they were not going to trade Bam for Durant, and I agree with that decision because I wouldn't do that either. But it's at least do we want to? And we had the conversation on the pod. It's can we win with KD and Jimmy? And it was something that we talked about. And I just don't think that they can win with Jimmy and Dame without Bam. For example, they just can't. But it is what it is, man. And that's been the saga. I'm disappointed in the Blazers. I'm sad that he's not here, but also I think this is incredibly funny, and I think Joe Cronin is not seeing the pearly gates.
I mean, I'm glad you think it's funny, G. I think it's sad.
It is sad, but we gotta find it. We gotta find the humor, right?
Yeah, but honestly, good for Bucks fans. Honestly, I really don't have much bad to say about that fan base.
They're great. I have a lot of respect for them.
Even through the rivalries we've had, and they got a hell of a player and a hell of a human, and I'm just jealous.
And I hope that he can find another guy, to hopefully go to war with that team, because those series are a lot of fun. One thing I do want to say. No way Riley calls Joe Cronin for Drew Holiday. If I'm Pat, I'd never pick up a phone call from that guy again.
Out of principle. I wouldn't even consider it.
Christian, yesterday I did Bleacher Report, and the entire Bleacher Report chat of Heat fans, and those are not the same Heat Twitter people are. Those are more I think that's a more broad audience. Bleacher Report, obviously. All those Heat fans were saying, no Drew Holiday. We are not dealing with Joe Cronin. And the producer of Bleacher Report goes, that's crazy how every Miami person was no. And I said, yeah, man, we're like, fuck that guy. He goes, that's so crazy that you guys like, he's like, I respect it, but he's like, the fact that like you don't even want a really good player because off of principle. And we're like, yeah, man, it was just bad. He's like, oh, I feel you. So like, that's how Heat fans feel about that.
I mean, I've been going back and looking at some of the things that Drew has said publicly in the last like 6-9 months. The guy clearly didn't want to leave Milwaukee. He was openly talking about retiring when his contract expires. So honestly, I'm going to be fascinated to see what the price tag is for him, because I don't think it's going to be as high as some people are saying. But I've been wrong a lot in the last few weeks, so it wouldn't be the first time.
By the way, I've made it because somebody just called me a Miami mouthpiece on Twitter. Baby,
look at Baby Levitard.
Let's go from the bowels of the internet to Miami Heat mouthpiece. We did it, baby. We got here together. Chat, we made it, baby. Graduation. You hear that, guys? Miami mouth. I like the ring to that. I may put that in my bio. Miami.
I was going to say that's exactly what you should do.
Miami mouthpiece. Couple quick things. I want to give some shout outs to some people in our chat. Cellathor resubscribed for a month at tier 1. 22 months, bro. That's almost 2 years. Says an efficient fuck Joe. We have Eric the Great, the motherfucking goat, resubscribed for 36 months, bro. You know how long that is, Christian?
3 years, baby. Let's go.
Bro. He says 3 years. Goddamn. Hope y'all are well. Brother, we're well with people like you in our chat. We love our community. Bronx Joker gave a bunch of bits, said regular man or woman would not stand for this in their own workplace. He also said, I asked yesterday to Dame fuck Cronin's wife. I don't think so, but Christian kind of gave the allegory of what that would be like. And then he also said, that's not how you negotiate, which they asked people Dame wanted to play for. Miami knew that they were dealing with lying ass tree stump. I like lying ass tree stump. That's funny. But yeah, guys, so obviously, an impromptu pod wasn't planned, but that, like I said, I got out of yoga. I was feeling myself, you know.
Janet, I gotta say, you had great energy on this show.
I feel great, Christian. People are like, I'm as happy as I've been in a long time. I'm being healthy. I'm going to yoga. I'm eating well. I'm playing volleyball again. I'm having a great time. I have friends like you. Alpha's out of my city. Just so much. Come home, Alf. Leave Atlanta, dog. They don't need you. We need you. They don't need you, dog. But no, I'm doing great. So I just, I read that and I wanted to have fun, with my community and with y'all. So we'll see you Monday. We're due Monday. We're going to try to post a Bleacher Report show that I did yesterday. They told me that they're going to send it when it gets archived. So that's just me going through trades that Brian and I made up for, people that they're probably not going to get. But yeah, we just had some fun. And we'll be on Monday for Media Day, which is going to be a shit show. And you know that you're going to want to be here for that. So love you guys. Have a great weekend. As Barry Jackson said yesterday, go touch some grass, and we'll see y'all Monday.
Barry